Namaste. Welcome to Wise Owl Career Guide. In our videos so far, we've seen various profiles in the corporate world, but there is also another segment which provides huge employment opportunities, and we haven't touched upon that. So, taking a step towards that, today we have a very special guest with us. He's won Prime Minister's Innovation Trophy. He's also had many other awards that he's won, and he is from Navy. Not Army, not Air Force, but Navy. Navy is one segment of our armed forces which we as Indians, and even when we're thinking of, job opportunities, tend to sidetrack or ignore a bit, thinking that it is not much, it is just a ship which does something to protect us. But what exactly, what are the kind of opportunities they have to offer, what are the kind of work they do, what are the kind of hardships that they have, is something that we're not aware of. So, to start with, before I call our guest, there is a small video that I would want to share with you. It is the Indian Navy saying Happy Diwali to you. We live here. We live free. We live free. We are So you see, the kind of hardship that the Indian Navy has to go through is no less than any of the other armed forces. And let's find out what are the opportunities, advantages, and the fun side of it from our guest, Commodore Praveen Kumar Singh, retired. Let's hear from him his story and his thoughts about Indian Navy.
So, Commodore Praveen Singh, welcome, sir, to our channel. And I must add, retired. Thank you so much for coming on to the channel. And, thank you for your service to the country, sir. You are one of the first people to come here from any of the armed forces. Thank you so much for joining us today and, agreeing to share your experience with us.
Thanks a lot, Neha. Thanks for having me over here. I've been following your channel, and in any form, if we can be of any use to the young generations. So, thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, before we get into your service background and everything, I would first want to know what has been your educational background.
I joined Navy in 1986, and that was my final year of engineering. And I was doing BTech. So, I was BTech electrical when I joined Indian Navy in electrical branch of the Indian Navy as electrical officer.
Okay. Sir, as we were discussing that, among the entire armed forces, Navy is the least, glamorous when it comes to the, decision-making process for the youngsters, even though on three sides we're surrounded by sea. In your opinion, why is that?
Okay, you are right. Generally for a North Indian, though in South the awareness of Navy is very high, in North Indian, which gives maximum number of people in armed forces, like North India always has more number of people joining armed forces than South India because of the reason of the population. The awareness
Right.
of Navy is definitely less. Like, my own example, when I went to join Navy, when I appeared for the service selection board, I went from Ranchi to Bangalore via Chennai, and that was the first time I saw sea in my life.
Okay.
So it's not only that, we are out of sight and away from sea, so maybe it's not there. But I personally feel that in India, our legacy and historical perspective itself is slightly biased towards army.
Right.
I'm not trying to say that, Navy is equivalent to Army or better than Army or and all these things. Army remains Army. Army will remain the prime force in our warfare scenario, because it's finally the soldier who goes and occupies the land.
Right.
Army will remain the senior service. Army will remain the most important service as far as India is concerned, because our enemies, our threats are basically from, land side.
Right.
But coming back to this point of people not knowing about Navy, this is my personal opinion that even in our, history and all that, we generally don't talk much about sea.
See,
We often say
absolutely.
that, there was a Samudra Manthan, and, Asuras stole the Amrit, and then, Suras did this, and Lord Shiva had that thing. And finally, Lord Shiva gulped the poison, and he came to Rishikesh to have his temple.
Yes.
So our knowledge about and forget about that, even you see like our what we study in schools in history subjects, we talk
Hmm.
about Shivaji hiding into a mithai ki tokri and going away. We talk about Shivaji putting on, a tiger's claw and killing, I think, Afzal Khan.
Yeah.
We do not talk about Shivaji having a navy of 500 to 700 ships in 17th century.
Oh, wow. That is,
Today, US doesn't have those many ships. Of course, size is different, technology is different, and ships are huge. But a ship as a unit
absolutely.
is a ship. And Shivaji had some 500 to 700 ships in 17th century, and we don't talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, nowhere does, this comes up. Shivaji is known for his guerrilla warfare and
Yeah.
everything, but the Navy part is always ignored.
And even in the, you see, even in the, science education, it's
Hmm.
we always talk that, elephants are very powerful, or Bhim had a strength of 10,000 elephants. And we often
Right.
forget that one Antarctica blue whale has a strength of about 30 elephants.
Wow. Okay.
30 elephants, and that's the strength, at sea, what we talk about. And the thing goes
Hmm.
like, most poisonous snakes we talk about is cobra, king cobra, and all that, and we forget that, the kind of snakes which you get at sea is enormous. And the warfare is, when we had Kargil, we often said that, we won the war at the 4,000 meters and 5,000 meters in Kargil, and this peak, that peak, of course, that was, very, very tough. But in
Right.
Navy, a normal human being cannot fight a war without an equipment, even at the depth of 15 meters from surface.
Absolutely.
So life is, the pressures are like that. You can always go to 5,000 meter and, still walk, fight, trek, but 10 meters under the sea you can't go. But notwithstanding
Absolutely.
that, I feel that people who know warfare, they know the importance of Navy. And of course, Army and Air Force are definitely very, very important. And a bit of ignorance in North India, I must say.
Okay. I hope this helps clear away that and, improve the knowledge about naval services
Yeah,
overall.
sure.
Okay. So, sir, what was the factor that led you to join, Navy? Because when we talk about armed forces, Army comes first, then the Air Force, and then somewhere we think about Navy. Oh, yes, that is also there. So, why electricals would be something which is there in all the three. So, why Navy as such?
Now, very frankly, when I joined Navy, I was as ignorant about Navy as any other North Indian. But
Okay.
though I did know what Navy demands and what Navy seeks, but very frankly telling you, when I first went for a naval SSB interview. But notwithstanding that, I was very much aware what Navy had to offer, because I had certain seniors of my college who had joined Navy. And
Okay.
there were people even in my family who knew a little bit about of Navy, and people in uniform, and they advised me that it was a good service.
Hmm.
And my seniors told me that if you really want to be, if you are a person of core engineering practices, By core
Mm-hmm.
engineering, what I mean is that, we are not pursuing, say, management, and you are not going for academic research, educational qualifications further. You want to be a
Right.
guy amongst machines right from the day one. So Navy was a
Mm-hmm.
absolute, a correct choice to join. And
Okay.
also one of the reasons which I would admit was that, in our college canteen, above our college canteen, there used to be a big hoarding of one ship that time, INS Rajput, which is
Mm.
presently decommissioned now. And it used
Okay.
to be very, very attractive. The superstructure of that ship had huge amount of electrical equipment and electronics
Mm-hmm.
equipment. You name it, it was a gun, missile system, radar, communication sets. And I was told that all this, is to be maintained and tuned by an electrical officer. So it was challenging. And that was one reason.
Okay.
And of course, somewhere a hidden sense of what you call patriotism and will to don the white uniform was there. So I chose to join Navy, and I was selected
Okay.
in Air Force also. But Air Force, Navy gives you an option that you can, if you want to be an aircraft maintenance engineer, you can choose it to be in Navy also.
Okay.
Navy itself has an aviation branch, and
Right.
you will be surprised that Navy is the United States Navy's aviation branch is the
Mm-hmm.
second biggest aviation branch in the world. The first is United States
Okay.
Air Force, and the
Right.
second biggest aviation branch in the world is United States Navy. So Navy is a
Okay.
three-dimensional stuff, and it gives you option if you want to become an aircraft maintenance engineer also. So you can do it. So all that I was aware, and I did choose to join
Okay.
Navy because of that.
Okay. So, sir, over the years, have the processes of being able to join Navy changed? And what are those processes? If somebody is looking for joining, what are the various entry points that they can get?
Navy is actually, just imagine a warship equivalent to say a colony or a city. So whatever you
Okay.
have in a city or in a colony, all those options are also available as a job prospect in Navy. For example,
Okay.
a city has power system, a city has
Right.
a restaurant, a city has housekeeping. So in Navy also, when you go at sea, all these options are available as career options. But the first option always remains as, the fighting option of executive branch. And
Okay.
then you have in officers cadre, you have electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, you have law graduates, you have logistic officers, you have IT officers. So depending upon your aptitude, attitude, and your qualification, you can always
Mhm.
choose to join Navy, whatever form you want to join. This is only for officers cadre. And of course,
Okay.
opportunities are immense in sailors cadre also. And
Mhm.
the changes probably which I've taken from my time to now is that in almost every cadre now women can join Navy.
Okay. Okay. So, sir, in let's say your entire career, this thing, your postings, the process of it, how much time is, a officer expected to spend in, on waters, and how much do they get land postings?
Yeah.
And what is that kind of a experience being on sea for, I don't know, what is the maximum duration you're supposed to be or the minimum duration?
Yeah. Okay. It's a nice question. And, people often think that when you join Indian Navy, you're always posted at sea.
Right.
So, no, that's not correct. Actually, it depends upon the branch or the cadre which you join. There are certain officers cadre which do not go to sea at all.
Okay.
For example, if you are a naval constructor, by naval constructor, what you mean that you design ships.
Hmm.
So you are always ashore designing ships.
Okay.
But if you are executive, electrical engineer, mechanical
Hmm.
engineer, these people serve, you can well say that, in every rank, they have to come to sea for at least 1 or 2 appointments, and then they go back to shore. Like my
Okay.
case, I'll tell you, I've done about 4 to 5 sea tenures in my 32 years of career.
Okay.
And
So,
I've also served in naval dockyards. I have served in naval headquarters. I have served in, various training establishment, testing tuning team, etc.
okay. So when you have these afloat, postings or tenures, what is usually the duration of it? And, being an engineer doesn't make you actually, seasick or, takes away that seasickness that you might have. So how do people in Navy cope with that?
No, see, seasickness is something which is, which can happen to anyone,
Right.
and it can be overcome by anyone by being at sea.
Okay.
So if you are continuously at sea or for prolonged durations, like if you remember as children, we used to have a lot of road sickness. When
Right.
you go to those ghats and all that, you children often puke. But when you grow up, you feel that it's nothing. It's doable, it's surmountable. So
Hmm.
seasickness is something, still if it happens, it happens, but there is no option. Like, you can be seasick, but you have to work. If the ship is
Right.
sailing, you have to work. So maybe probably you don't think about seasickness, and
Mhm.
you get over it.
Okay. And sir, do you also have, these, trainings and, cross country trainings with other navies of other countries?
It's very much there because these days it's even more. Even in my time, it was I have personally interacted or excised or visited several countries.
Okay.
I've been to Middle East. I have interacted with U.S. Navy in India. I have interacted with French Navy. I have interacted with Australian Navy. I have gone to Singapore. I have visited, interacted with that Navy, Israel.
Mhm.
So the list is endless because India is an emerging global power, and these days people
Right.
do want to exercise with Indian ships.
Okay, because you said the hoarding in your canteen said, see the world, come join Navy and see the world. So I was wondering, how much of that opportunity actually happens? Or is it just, the C is CEA and not SEE?
No, no. See the world. It's actually generally people what in civil world they think that you see the world by going on cruise and by when the ships visit other countries. That's of course one of the things. But
Right.
when you are in Navy and when you are, even in naval headquarters, like half the countries which I have visited in my career, they have been
Mhm.
deputations from the naval headquarters. When I went for
Okay.
procurement, when I went for interaction, when I went to, see their equipment and all these things. So Navy
Mhm.
gives you opportunity in both ways. You can, while posted on ship, you can see the world, and while working ashore, you can see the world.
You can see the world. Okay. So, sir, w- apart from the seasickness which you have to, what are the other kind of hardships that, are expected to be there for at least the youngsters? Because, when you think of a job, even if it's with the Navy, your perception and the reality of the ground would be different. How was your, reality different from what you had perceived your Navy career would be like on that first month or two?
Yeah, you see, actually, Navy hardship wise, is my personal opinion, though people, people
Hmm.
might disagree. Hardship wise, Navy is the hardest service to serve.
Okay.
When you are posted afloat, when you are posted in a ship, like for example, I'll give you that includes my shock also, though I thought I knew a lot about Navy when I joined. But I'll
Hmm.
just give you an example that, maybe the room in which you are sitting, I don't know what's the total dimension of that room. Let me presume that, it is maybe about, say, 10 feet by, say, 7 feet or something like that. Uh,
Right.
From in Navy, as an under trainee, In that room, we were around 15 people who stayed there.
I- How?
So
How is that possible?
there are system of bunks. There is a system of
Okay.
hot bunking. Like person who is on duty, he goes on duty, he goes on shift, he is with his machines, and he comes back, and the other guy, he's ready to go for his shift. And of course, I mean, that way, the habitability wise, Navy is a tough choice, but you do get used to it.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
when I was young, when I did my first appointment, we were around I think total of about 50 officers on board INS Ranjit, and to tell
Okay.
you, there were only two toilets,
Oh God.
50 of us. But you get used to it because that's the discipline of Navy, and the water used to come only for about 20 minutes in morning and 20 minutes in the evening.
Okay.
But you do
So
get
the
used to it.
city, yeah, the city will have the restriction also
Yeah.
because that city doesn't have any space to expand.
No, but now Neha, the things are better because I mean you get 24 hours water because technology has improved. You turn that sea water into fresh water. You don't have to carry that much of water from ashore. So habitability
Right.
has definitely improved. But as
Mhm.
a trainee or as a young officer, one must be ready to face these things. But there is nothing to worry because you get used to it.
Okay. So, sir, what is, that one tip that you would want to give the freshers who are thinking or, who are still debating whether to join Navy or not, that will help them make that decision?
As per me, Navy is an excellent service for an engineer. It
Okay.
remains one of the finest service for a hardcore engineer to serve. But one
Hmm.
must not forget that Navy is not like a corporate.
Right.
Navies around the world are not in the business of making money, making balance sheets, and profit and loss.
Hmm.
Navies across the world have got a different role. They are in the business of guarding maritime interests and maritime threats of a particular nation.
Correct.
And the main business of navies remains to fight wars. So it's a sort of life will be tough, but if you have an aptitude for it, it is definitely one of the finest service which an engineer can join.
Okay. And so, what is the promotion process in Navy? As you said, it's not a corporate this thing. So obviously, the process for promotion and uh, movement would also be different.
The navy, unlike other government services, I mean for that matter all armed forces, unlike any other government services, they have a pyramid structure. you know you
Okay.
you keep getting weeded out at every rank, and finally there is only one person who becomes chief of the naval staff or chief of the army staff or chief of the air staff. So
Right.
every rank, while there is a selection, there are
Hmm.
a lot of rejections also. this
Okay.
is this is a typical issue related with all armed forces because very few people go up. But the
Hmm.
rank, I mean, in simple terms, the promotions are rank based in the sense that, unlike other places where you become assistant manager, then you become deputy manager, you become manager, general manager, and all that.
Right.
Here, your promotions are rank based. Like you join as a sub lieutenant, then you become lieutenant,
Okay.
lieutenant commander, and depending upon the cadre which you are in, you go in executive order, executive cadre. The topmost rank which you can achieve is an admiral, that is chief of the naval staff. And
Okay.
in engineering cadre, you can go up to the rank of the vice admiral.
Okay. Okay. And sir, the entire process of this promotion that you said that there are, selection and rejections. Are there any exams and continuous training also that you require to pass for you to be able to, be even considered for a promotion?
Generally it's not, their promotions are not exam based. It's not that, you suppose you
Okay.
have to become to lieutenant commander, you have to appear in an exam. But throughout
Hmm.
your career you continue appearing in exam, because there are long courses, there are basic courses, then there is a staff college. So you have to clear many exams, but they are not directly related to your promotion. But it is understood that, if you haven't done staff college, you might not
Okay.
go very up in service, though there is no fixed rule for it. So, but there are no,
Okay.
specific exams for a particular promotions, but there are certain criteria.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing so much of information and your experience. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Neha, for having me over. Thank you.
So that was Commodore Praveen Kumar Singh retired sharing his journey and how he decided to join the Indian Navy, and when was the first time he, actually saw the sea in his life. So, yes, seasickness and the limited resources that were there in his time have changed, but there would always be a limitation because, as he said, it is an entire city moving on water with, you know, the resources will always be limited, but living a life in those limited resources, learning so much, understanding so much, and most of all serving your country is something that if you're interested in, and as he said, if you're an engineer, mechanical or electric engineer, and you're really interested in machines, this would be a kind of job which would be a dream come true, a passion that you can follow throughout your life and be able to serve the country. I hope you've, gained a lot of information about the Indian Navy and the processes that it follows and the opportunities that it has to offer you. If you have any questions, do write below in the comment and we'll answer them. Also, do like, share, and subscribe the channel. Thank you.